Welcome. Here we are for our 5th week in our 6-week series. We are talking about swords and air today. So I gotta pull up my notes too. There we go. Excellent. All right. How are you all? How are you all today? My day just sort of started. I was up quite late at night. Oh no. Oh, I lost my microphone. Come back. There we go. I was up quite late last night, so I just woke up. Actually, I woke up about an hour and a half ago, so we're all good. If you are new here, I'd love to know that. And I would also love to know, for those of you that knew, how familiar are you with tarot? On a scale of like 1 to 10, 1 being like, I don't know anything, and 10 being, I've been working with tarot for years and feel very comfortable with it. Let me know if you need an overview, especially if you are new. So like I said, this is a part of our 6-week series, and this is week 5, so we've already done 4 weeks. The first week we did a little bit about what is tarot. We talked about the history of tarot and why do we use it. The second week we talked about the major arcana. So that's the first 22 cards in the deck and talks about the overarching life's journey and the sort of like the big energy in our lives. And then we have been going through the 4 different suits. So we did wands and fire, and we've done cups and water, and now we're on swords and air, and next week will be pentacles and earth, our last week. Oh, hello, Leanne. Hello, sorry. At a 2, excellent. Laura is new in Seattle, also a 2, excellent. Oh, hello, Abhishek. Okay, so for those of you that are a little bit new to tarot, then I will just say that it is a deck of cards, right, that is made of usually 78 cards. Like I said, the first 22 cards are called the major arcana, and those are the big energy in our life, sort of like the universal archetypal map that we are moving through in our life's journey. And then there are the 56 cards in the minor arcana, split up into 4 different suits. Wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. And each suit has 4 court cards. So that's page, knight, queen, and king, which we'll go over the swords today. And then there are 10 pip cards, which are ace through 10, which we'll go through all of those today as well. And the reason that we use tarot is to get insight, really, to get insight, to tap into our intuition, to understand situations, questions we have, and maybe from a different perspective, or seeing things that are underneath the surface that are just not very clear to us. So it's helping us build a story around these situations and questions that we have about life. But ultimately, it's coming from that deep inner connection within. So, hello, Jay. You're 6 out of 10. Beautiful. Abhishek, we're not doing readings today. We're just talking about the sword suit. I will do a collective reading at the very end with the swords, but no personal readings today. Oh, hi, Sib. Hi, Jen. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Okay. So any questions before we dive in? Oh, thank you, Sib. I was just telling the group last night we did this session for those in the different time zones, and The last time I painted my nails was about a year ago for my brother-in-law's wedding. That was last February, and I don't know why, but um, my nails were looking nice and they were growing nicely, and so I was like, why not? Let's paint my nails again. That once a year nail painting. So you get to see my nails as I hold the cards up today. Um, yeah, I only have two colors of nail polish. Only do it once a year, but it's fun when it happens. It's like a little treat then when it happens. What is tarot? Abhishek, like I said, we've got this deck of cards. Deck of cards that has archetypal symbols and meaning to it that we can help understand our situations and our questions for life. So we're going to be talking about the suit of swords and the element of air, how it's connected to the element of air today. All right, so, and we've been working along with the astrological signs as well. And so we're working with the 3 air signs today. So if you have, we're working with Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. So if you have Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius as your sun sign, moon sign, or rising sign, we're going to be working with that energy today. If you don't know your natal chart, you don't know your other signs, you can look that up for free at Cafe Astrology. Cafe, just CAFE, astrology. And if you know your birth time, you put that in there and it will give you a free natal chart. And you're looking for your sun sign, moon sign, and the ascendant, which is the rising sign. Thank you, Jen. And so looking to see if you have any air. If you are, and let me know if any of you have Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius, the 3 air signs. I'm a Gemini ascendant. I have a Gemini ascendant. So I'll be talking about that today. And especially if you have a sun sign that is in Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius, because we'll go a little bit deeper into the sun signs. Hello, John in Seattle. Welcome. A Gemini. Excellent. Yeah. Someone told you were a double wind. It's good for gassy jokes. Oh, that's really funny. Yeah, so sorry. If you want to look up, you can go to the site that Jen posted there, cafeastrology.com, and put in your birthday. And if you know your birth time, then you'll know where all the placements of the planets are in your chart, and see what elements you have. All right, Laura is a Capricorn, Aries, Sagittarius. All right, so we'll be doing Capricorn next week. We already did Aries and Sagittarius in the first one in the wands. Sun sign Pisces, moon sign Aries, rising sign Cancer. All right, we did all of those already. Cancer and Pisces are water, Aries is fire. Jay is a Gemini moon. All right, so we got a couple Gemini energy here. Jen is air free. All right. All right. So if you want to know what card is connected to your sun, moon, and rising, I can give you that and you can look it up. Because we've already done the fire and the water, and we'll be doing earth next week. So if you want to know what your card is, so I can tell you, you can look it up later, just drop it in there. I will say the ones that have already put theirs in there. Capricorn, which we'll get to next week, is the Queen of Pentacles. Aries is the Queen of Wands. Sagittarius is the Knight of Wands. So the Queen of Wands and Knight of Wands, Aries and Sagittarius. Pisces is the Knight of Cups. And Cancer. Cancer is the Queen of Cups. So got lots of Knight and Queen energy. All right, so let's get started. Let's get started with our swords energy. Okay, I'll just tell you a brief overview of what we're going to do. I'm going to talk about the archetypal energy of the swords and the element of air. It's just sort of like the energy that flows through all of these cards that we'll go through today. I will then tell you about what it means when swords show up in a reading for you, or if you do a spread, it's mostly swords, what that means. Then we'll go into the personality cards. So that's when we will work with Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini connected to the court cards, the Page, Knight, Queen, and King. And then we will go through Ace through 10, all 10 of the cards, very briefly, just to show the journey that they go on. And then at the very end, if we have time, I will do a collective pull with just the swords, asking how we can move through our challenges. So, all right, that is our outline. Let's get started with the archetypal energy of the swords. So, here's our Ace of Swords, which you can get a lot of the aces show like the purest potential of the card's energy. And so you can usually see a lot about the energy of the suit by looking at the ace. And looking at this one, you know, we've got the element of air. We've got this sort of like air channel happening here. We've got the bird. The birds are a big theme in this deck, flying around. So what do we know? What do we know about air? Right, air is all around us, but it's intangible, right? We can't grab the air. It's unseen, but it can be felt, right? We can feel the movement. We can feel it as it's refreshing, cleansing, and it's adaptable, flexible energy. But when we go to the extremes of air, it can either be really stagnant and stale, right? I'm sure you've like walked into a room that it felt very stale, sort of like that stickiness. You feel like you're stuck in the air. And then on the other extreme, it can be too forceful, right? It's moving too fast, too much for what you're able to experience. So it can be very supportive, right? When it's giving us air to breathe. We need that air to breathe. We need that support of breath. Or thinking about like a gentle, cool breeze on a warm day. But then it becomes destructive on those extremes. Whenever it is void of air, you know, thinking about like climbing to the top of Mount Everest and like not having that air, that oxygen, that is one extreme, right? Having that loss of air. And then the other extreme is when it arrives in things like tornadoes and cyclones, where it is too forceful to experience. So with the swords, and we're talking about a sword that's sort of like this double-edged energy, right? And so we're thinking about these extremes that we can experience, and we're trying to find the balance between those two, balancing both of those sides on the edge of the sword. And oftentimes the sword energy can talk about balancing between intellect and power, or even like good and evil. That's sort of like these archetypal languages. And with the swords, with the element of air, we're talking about largely the mind. So our thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, our mental capacity, mental levels of consciousness, knowledge, wisdom, intellect, all the things that are swirling around in the mind. And then also we talk about communication as well. So the air element coming through in communication whenever we are sharing in our words. So we've got this element of air. And some of the other words that can describe the archetypal energy of swords is justice and fairness. And it also comes with conflicts and challenges. And you know, sort of like these big conflicts that happen, like an illness, a heartbreak, war, death. Talking about the main things that we challenge, that we are challenged by in life. And in a way, it also shows us like our fears and limitations. And a lot of those fears and limitations that are created in our mind, right? Talking about the shadows that show up in our mind, that negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, limiting mindsets, all of that. But then on the right, we're talking about this double-edged sword. So that's on one side, these fear and limitations. On the other side is clarity, facts, and truth. So the swords have the ability to sort of cut through those fears, cut through those limitations, cut through the illusions, and show us the truth, show us what we need to see. Energy of the swords. The swords and air is also connected to the season of spring. Now, I think when I did the session on wands and fire, I accidentally shared that the wands and fire was connected to spring, but wands and fire is connected to summer. And that makes sense with like the highest heat and the highest point of the sun, right, in the summer. So wands and fire is summer. Air and swords are the season of spring, where we are now. And because of that, it is a solar energy. So swords and wands are the solar energy, and cups and pentacles are the lunar energy. So solar energy is an energy that is moving up and out. It is an active energy moving up and out. The lunar energies are moving down and in and are reflective, just like the sun and the moon, obviously. All right, so that's our archetypal language of the swords. Sorry, most of the list said Libra and some Sagittarius. All right, so we're gonna get into Libra today. So see if Libra is in your sun, moon, or ascendant. And that will come in handy later. Okay, so what happens when swords dominate a reading? When you pull a card that is a sword, what does that mean? So a lot of the archetypal energy that I just shared translates over to what is happening in a reading, right? So when you have a spread or you have a reading, if you're getting a reading done by somebody and it's mostly swords, it's usually sort of one of three things that it's going on. One is that there are some mental struggles and you are seeking solutions. So seeking solutions for your mental struggles that are happening, you're wanting to ease those, right? Can also talk about like, and especially if you're having those mental struggles around a decision. So talking about decisions need to be made, because remember the swords is cutting through and opening up that path. So it's going to help us to move forward in making a decision. The other one is that it could be talking about conflicts, arguments, challenges that you're having in your life, either interpersonally or within you, or interpersonally with others in your sphere. So let's see here. It can also mean you'll be coming in contact with a powerful person or a powerful situation. It could talk about situations that are more like legal battles, where there's some sort of justice being worked through, looking for the truth, looking for fair results. It can also talk about having rigid viewpoints, remember, because it's connected to those limiting mindsets, limiting beliefs. So the swords could show up to tell you, okay, you're being a little bit too one-sided. You're being too rigid. You're not able to see the other perspective. It's time to break that open, and widen your understanding. Talking about truth being revealed, obstacles being overcome, and seeing situations for what they really are. Again, cutting through the illusion, cutting through the drama, getting down to the foundations of what's actually happening. And again, focusing on knowledge, mind, the strength in your mind. And oftentimes, because we are talking about challenges and conflicts with the swords, usually comes with a valuable lesson to learn. So I have a very love-hate relationship with the swords, and I know that a lot of people, out of all four suits, the swords is usually one of the more difficult ones to work with because of this element that it brings up a lot of our inner conflicts. It brings up a lot of challenges that we're having with others, with ourselves. And my least favorite card is in the swords. And it came at a time where I was having difficulty in my relationship, and there was something that was unsaid, that was underneath the surface, that I was feeling, but I didn't know, right? Because it was under the surface. It wasn't out in the open yet. And the card came up, and it was just like, all right, I need to address this. It was like the catalyst that was like, you need to address this, or else nothing's gonna move forward. And it was a really painful experience, definitely heartbreak involved, but so that's like my hate relationship with it, because it resulted in some pain, but pain that was necessary to move through to get to a deeper place of healing in my relationship, and a deeper place of understanding and trust. And so we moved through that situation and came out better for it. So that's the love side of the sword. So it's almost like you gotta make it, you gotta make it through the pain to get to the other side to receive the lesson. That's what we're working with in the swords energy. Jen understands. Yep. Keep getting the 10 of Swords. Yep. That'll be the last card we talk about today. Carrie, I'm not doing readings. We're talking about the archetypal energy of the swords and the element of air, working with the swords cards today. I will do a collective reading at the end, how we can move through our challenges. And also, if you're doing a spread, you're doing a reading about a time frame, the swords energy is talking about things that are happening within a week's time. So remember, wands is usually within the day, what's happening that day. Swords is what's happening in the week. Cups is what's happening in the month. And pentacles is what's happened in the year. It's the longest time frame. So okay, we are going to get into the personality card. So this is when it will be helpful to know if you have Libra, Aquarius, or Gemini as your sun, moon, or ascendant in your natal chart. Okay, let's see here. So if you the sun sign. So if you have one of these as your sun sign, the card that's connected to your astrological sign is talking about your personal potential. So your sun sign is your personal potential card, telling you your greatest potential in this lifetime, your sacred purpose to fulfill, sort of like what achievements you will accomplish in your life. If this card is your moon sign, so if you have Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius in your moon sign, your card is going to tell you about your intuitive power, your inner guidance card. And this is what you are meant to learn and grow in wisdom in your lifetime. And then your ascendant sign. So if you have one of these signs as your ascendant, then this is how you present yourself to the world. This is how other people perceive you. And it can also show you either your shadows that you're hiding underneath, those things that other people can pick up on, but you yourself have trouble understanding. That will arrive in your ascendant sign, the card that is connected to your ascendant sign. And you can see how closely aligned the ascendant sign is to how you see yourself and how others see you. All right, so Leo ascendant. Leo ascendant, we talked about Leo, and the first one is the King of Wands. So read about the King of Wands and see if how that aligns for you, Jay. So we're going to start with the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords is not connected to an astrological sign. None of the pages are connected to astrological signs. And the reasoning behind this is that the Page of Swords is an adolescent energy. So it's like that teenager energy that like doesn't really know who they are yet, right? They're just like working it out. They're growing, they're maturing, they're figuring out who they are. And so this energy is not connected to an astrological sign because it's not grounded and rooted in the maturity of knowing who they are yet. But nonetheless, if you pull the Page of Swords in a reading, this is talking about the energy of being very curious, being enthusiastic and really enthusiastic about learning and learning new things, gathering information, researching. This is the energy of a student, right? So you might get this card if it comes up, you're going back to school, or you're learning a new skill, learning a new hobby, doing something that is increasing your knowledge, your intellect. But this can also be a very restless energy. Restless in the way that you are continuing to want more and more, right? You're always wanting more information, more things to learn, that you're never satisfied really with what you have, what you already know. So it can become a very restless energy. But it's inviting you to let go of old ideas and invite in new. So sort of like shaking off the cobwebs of what you thought you knew, what you thought you believed, going through that sort of like unlearning process so that you can learn new ways of being. That is the Page of Swords. Okay, so let's go into the Knight of Swords then. The Knight of Swords is Gemini. So if you have Gemini, I know we had a couple Geminis here. If this is your sun sign, the Knight of Swords is your greatest potential. If it's your moon sign, it's your inner guidance, your intuition. If it is your rising sign, like myself, it is how you present yourself to the world. So let me know if this aligns with me, if this is how you perceive me. I don't know if it's very accurate, but that's because it might be in my shadow. So the Knight of Swords is it's a fast moving energy. As you can see, we have both the person running and both are in the motorcycle, which is in the background. And so it's action oriented, fast, swift, um, making very fast decisions, being witty, so like easy to pick up on cues that are happening and be able to jump in the conversation and give their, you know, their wit, their intellect into that. Um, the They're not afraid of like taking a risk, not afraid of challenges that are ahead, ready to conquer really like anything that comes in the way, and find a way to move through that. On the um, on the other side is that as they are moving quickly and being a little bit impulsive, they're not really considering consequences that may be happening. So more like making those split-second decisions and realizing later that, oh, that decision had these consequences that are not so great, right? So if this card shows up in a reading for you, it might be asking you to um, take a look at that. Take a look, have a second to pause and see what consequences may follow if you continue moving, you know, that quickly. And also can come with a bit of stubbornness, because they're very focused on like that willpower. Like, I am going to get there no matter the cost. And that stubbornness then again can create some of these consequences that are not so helpful and supportive for us. But they're oftentimes seen as sort of like the hero. They want to be the hero. They want to save the day, save the person, like whatever that is, being the hero, being the heroine. So that's our energy of the Knight of Swords, connected to Geminis. And then we've got the Queen. Here is our Queen of Swords. Let's see if we can get it. Let's see if my camera, there we go. So our Queen of Swords, the camera doesn't know whether to focus on me or the card. This is for our Libras. Libras. So if you've got a Libra sun, this is your personal potential, moon, your inner guidance, and ascendant, how you present yourself, how other people perceive you. So the Queen is a complex individual. There's lots of layers to the Queen of Swords. And because of that, they can be very perceptive. Like seeing all the pieces of the puzzle, seeing how they fit together. And so it has sort of like this this higher vantage point, right? You see this image of them sitting on top, sort of looking out, looking down. Very perceptive and understanding how things are really working. Smart, honest, quite independent, self-sufficient, and confident, like that. Confidence in like, I know how it is and I'm not afraid to share that. And they tend to be very excellent communicators as well. And so they're moving through life with very strong convictions. Strong convictions about what is right, what is wrong, and know exactly what they're going to do in those situations. But in a way that they're also unbiased, right? So able with that complex perception that they have, able to see like fairness through it all and be unbiased about which way it's going to go. So in that way, they can be very wise and logical mentors or advisors. So you can think if you know anybody like that as well, and maybe they've got some Libra energy in them. So that's our Queen of Swords. And moving on to our King. There is our King of Swords, and that is our Aquarius. So do we have any Aquarius energy? I didn't see any Aquarius here before. My sister is an Aquarius. Well, it doesn't look like anybody shared they were Aquarius. Let us know if you got Aquarius. Sunshine. Sun sign is, again, your personal potential. Moon sign, your inner guidance. Ascendant sign, how you present yourself to the world. So the King of Swords is head over heart, right? So the King of Cups would have been heart over head, choosing emotion over logic. The King of Swords is the opposite, choosing logic over emotions. So this would also be thinking about like the Myers-Briggs. It's that T and F spectrum. So where you're thinking over feeling, that would be the King of Swords, thinking over feeling. Very, very wise, right? And wise in this way that they have learned a lot of those valuable lessons, right? We're talking about in the swords, we're learning valuable lessons, learned a lot of valuable lessons through life and have been able to integrate that into wisdom. And in that way, they tend to be very clear thinkers, intelligent, truthful, and fair, right? So all of this, and in that way that they're also usually quite disciplined in that. So again, it's that like sword that's cutting through, that's very straightforward, and having those points of discipline that they can hold strong to. And because they're choosing head over heart, they can seem a bit, their energy can seem a bit cool or detached, but they're very supportive, and supportive, especially in direct communication. So, while others, especially like in the cups, again, bringing back the cups would be, in the way they communicate is very like heart-centered, very like emotionally charged, connected. Whereas the King of Swords is like, this is how it is, right? Very logical about this is how it is, but in the way that it really supports you to see the truth in what you're experiencing, right? So you can see how those are different levels of support, that we need. We need all of it, right? So that's our King of Swords. Oh, hello, Carolyn. You're an Aquarius. Excellent. Beautiful. Okay. So those are personality cards. My friends call it terrible truthing. Oh, interesting. That is a good that's a good saying for all of the swords. Terrible truthing. Interesting. Yeah. And I've often found, at least for myself, I don't, and maybe this is my Knight of Wands coming through in my Gemini ascendant, but I don't usually shy away from conflicts. I like to get through them because I know I don't know how other people like sit with the inner turmoil whenever you're in a conflict with somebody. I cannot sit with that. I'm just like, let's get it all out on the table. Let's like work through it. Let's move through it and figure out how to feel a little bit more settled. And that's that energy. Like it feels painful. It feels terrible in the beginning, but like hopefully once you move through it, if there is enough, love and trust and, that energy in the relationship, hopefully you're moving through to deeper levels of that, deeper levels of trust and love with one another. So, that's also my nervous system. My nervous system's natural reaction is to fight. Whereas my partner's is to flight. So we have a very interesting dynamic together. Okay, we're gonna now go through the 10 hip cards. So, same, can't go to bed angry. Yeah, that's a big struggle for me too. Whereas my partner is like, I need to go to bed angry and then I will feel better in the morning. And I'm like, nope. I'm like, I won't be able to sleep if we go to bed angry. Um, so we've had to navigate how we argue with one another, but seems to be working so far. Okay, so this is going to be, when we go through these cards, each of these cards is connected to the sun signs of Libra, Aquarius, or Gemini. So if you have a sun sign that is Libra, Aquarius, or Gemini, one of these cards is going to connect to your birthday, and I'll go through those as I talk about each of them. And if one of these is your birthday card, then that is illuminating your natural desires, natural instincts, natural, like just the things that come easy to you. But as we're in swords, like this may be like the natural challenges that have always shown up in your life. So seeing if that is relevant whenever it connects to your birthday, if you're Libra, Aquarius, or Gemini. So we'll start again with the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Swords is not connected to a birthday because, like I said, the Ace is holding the purest potential for all of the Swords energy. So it's really applicable to all of the air signs. So we have the Ace of Swords, that is the beginning of the cycle of swords. So it brings this energy of new ideas, new beginnings, and sort of like these aha moments that like take you from where you were to where you're going, right? It's like that, oh, okay, that's connecting now, that's clicking now, I understand more. And now I can move through into a new way of understanding. Those breakthrough moments that come in a state of clarity and sharpness, right? You see that it's like this is the moment of clarity, just like whew, coming straight in. And can also talk about a new truth being revealed that was hidden before, or heightened states of consciousness, right? Because consciousness is also in our mind, those mental levels of consciousness. And so having an altered or a heightened state of that. That is our Ace of Swords. Okay, so now we're going to get into the birthdays. So this is for if you are a Libra and you were born September 23rd through October 2nd. So September 23rd through October 2nd is the Two of Swords. So right off the bat, we are starting with a conflict. In the fact that there is a difficult choice to make. There are opposing views, opposing opinions, opposing ideas, one on each side. It's sort of like, those cartoons where there's like an angel and a devil, and they're each saying into each ear. That's sort of the energy of the Two of Swords. And you're finding it very difficult to make a choice, to move forward. It's sort of like a stalemate. And you are blindfolded in that process. And so if the Two of Swords shows up in a reading, it's just telling you, make the choice already. Like, make the choice, and choosing like the best route, right? But also even like the least harmful, right? Because maybe neither one of them are good, or maybe both of them seem great. And it's just like, just then choose one and try it out. And if it doesn't work, then you can choose again, come to another decision. But it's sort of like saying, get out of that place of being stagnant and indecisive, and just make the choice. So if that is your birthday card, I'd love to know if you have trouble making decisions. All right. So this is for your birthday is October 3rd through the 12th. So October 3rd through the 12th is the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords. So, as you can see from this card usually comes with pain, heartbreak, suffering, grief, some sort of separation that breaks your heart, right? And just the pain and anguish that you feel because of that. And like I said, with a lot of these swords that come with difficult energies to experience and move through, that there are these signs of hope and healing whenever we can move through them. And we see that in this card in particular, where these healing threads are coming to sort of mend, right? Mend the break. So it's like stitching your heart back together. And so it's sort of saying, like, even if you're feeling the heartbreak, even though you're in the midst of that pain, like, it's not going to last forever. There is a way through to find healing and to begin to mend that. And hopefully on the other side of that mending, right, is a deeper understanding of your heart space, of your emotions, of what your heart is capable of feeling and experiencing, which is a beautiful thing, right? To understand that you have deeper levels of love that you can go in that. So it's our energy of the Three of Swords. And after all that indecisiveness and heartbreak, we need an actual break, right? An actual rest. So the Four of Swords is for the birthdays from October 13 through the 22nd. 13 through the 22nd. So our Four of Swords is rest. It's time to rest, time to restore yourself. This can show up if you are burnt out and you're needing time to go within. You're needing time to heal, especially coming after the Three of Swords, like pain and heartbreak. Giving yourself that time and space to heal, to recuperate, and love on yourself, right? This is a card of self-love. So making sure that you are doing that for yourself, really loving yourself in that way. And we have again that mending, healing thread, and the heart is, there's, I don't know if you can see it, if my camera will, yeah, there's a tiny little scar on the heart that has been mended. So it's sort of like that, after the pain, take your rest. That's the Four of Swords. Hello, Jitin. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we're moving into Aquarius now. So if you have an Aquarius birthday in January 20th through the 29th, January 20 through 29 is the Five of Swords. So Five of Swords, okay, we come back into some difficult energy, and you can see that the mind is overwhelmed, right, in this energy. So the Five of Swords can show up whenever there is a lot of ambition, right? So there's a lot of desire to move forward, move up, that energy again, moving up and out. But what comes with the Five of Swords is sort of like, again, that not thinking about consequences and that energy of like winning at all cost. So being like very competitive and not really thinking about who you might be harming in the way as you're trying to compete and win over top of others. That's the energy of the Five of Swords, and it can show that there is some unfair advantages happening. So if you pull this with around a situation that you're experiencing, looking at where is it in balance, right? Is that situation in balance? Are the two different parties in balance, or is there some sort of unfair advantage to one or the other? And then this can also be talking about like make sure you pick your battles, right? Don't go after everything. Everything is not yours to have. Choose, right? Choose what is what's worth it to move through, and choose the path that is the least harmful, right? This can also it can also talk about like building your skills and your confidence. So like getting better, like at your career, at your job, but making sure you're doing that in a way that is fair, that in a way that is honest and truthful, and ethical. So that's the energy of the Five of Swords. Okay, moving on. Aquarius, January 30th through February 8th. January 30 through February 8th. And this is probably, I think this might be my favorite swords card. It's the Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords is talking about transitions, going on a journey from one shore to the other. So getting in that boat, leaving behind what has come, what is in your past, and going towards what is in your future. So this card can show up if there is, you could be experiencing like two of those energies, both if you're looking to the past and experiencing regret, you're looking to the future and experiencing fear and anxiety, right? That could be because you're in the midst of this transition. You're transitioning between what has passed and what is to come. So the energy there is it's an invitation to be in the boat, right? Be in the boat, not focusing on the past or the future, what's happening right now, and just taking it slowly, taking the boat slowly across that transition. And this also talks about like you're going through those personal growth transitions. If you're experiencing like a rite of passage and like fully healing from some of those heartbreaks that we have already experienced earlier in the swords. And so moving through that, coming to a greater place of personal healing on the other side. And the Six of Swords also talks about like, you don't have to do it alone. You can ask for help that will help pull you along to reach the place that you want to be, that place of healing that you want to be. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask. That is the Six of Swords. All right, and our last Aquarius, this is February 9th through the 18th. The 9th through the 18th is the Seven of Swords. All right, so our seven is the trickster energy. So thinking about the god Loki, like that trickster energy, is the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords can talk about deception, illusions, betrayal, really like looking out for those tricksters, looking out for those that are sort of like the wolves in sheep's clothing. They seem all nice and loving and trusting on the surface, but as soon as you get in a little bit deeper, you realize, oh, that's just a facade. That's not how it is actually within. So it's telling you like don't take things at face value. Really look deep under the surface to understand how a situation or how a person or how an organization, whatever it is that you are interacting with. This can also talk about sort of like the double-edged side, right? The double-edged side of trickery on one side, and on the other side is strategy. right? It's like being clever in your strategy and tactics that help you to work smarter, not harder, right? So figuring out those ways that you can move through with the least amount of resistance, and the like using your mind and your intellect to get to the place you want to be with more ease, right? So that's the energy, that's the double-sided energy of the Seven of Swords. All right, moving along to Geminis. I know we had a few Geminis here. So that's our last three cards. This is for the Geminis born May 21st through the 31st. So the end of May, 21st through the 31st, is the Eight of Swords. So the Eight of Swords is talking about imprisonment, entrapment, feeling stuck, feeling like you are always the victim, having limiting fears, assumptions, mindsets. So that's sort of again, one side of the sword. The other side of the sword that's going to help you cut through all of these strings that have you entrapped, right? Have you imprisoned, is that it's self-imposed. It's in your mind. Your mind has created this story that you are stuck, you are trapped. You're only seeing in one perspective. You're only looking in the mirror. You're not looking, down at your actual self and realizing, oh, I'm not trapped in these strings, right? And so that's the empowering piece of the Eight of Swords. It's illuminating in the mirror. These are old stories that you're still believing, that you're still listening to from things that have happened in your past, and you don't need them anymore. They're not supporting you to move forward. And so you can let go, right? Let go of those, let go of your assumptions, your expectations, those limiting fears and beliefs that are keeping you small, keeping you trapped, and free yourself, right? That's a liberation there. So it's the energy of our Eight of Swords, our first Gemini. Our second Gemini is June 1st through the 10th. June 1st through the 10th. If that is your birthday, you've got the Nine of Swords. All right, so getting a little bit heavier as we get towards the end. The Nine of Swords is nightmares, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively, but it's sort of like what keeps you up at night. People that this is your birth card, like it could mean that you have had sort of like a lifelong struggle with sleep and being able to fall asleep. And it comes because there's quite a lot of anxiety or depression, hopelessness, and tied usually to traumas and stress in life. And so the empowering piece to this, right? Because there's all these 8 black birds, but there's one white bird that's sort of like that sign. There is a sign of hope, right? Because this is sort of like when you get, like you're getting to the bottom, right? And there's like nowhere else to go but up, right? So sort of like it can't get any worse at this point. And again, this anxiety is really coming from your mind, and you have the power to change your mind, right? So it's like the stress and the trauma that has created this anxiety and feelings of hopelessness in your mind. This card will show up whenever there is now an opportunity to find your power, find your strength, find that courage to move through and heal from those energies that keep you up at night, and find again that sword cutting through and find that pathway to a more peaceful state of being and rest, that you can sleep in. So that's our 9 of Swords. And our last card is the 10 of Swords. If your birthday is June 11th through the 20th, June 11th through the 20th, we've got the 10 of Swords. So the 10 of Swords in the Rider-Waite's more traditional tarot deck, you'll see an image of a person lying face down on the ground with 10 swords in their back. Whereas this card is a little bit more gentle with that image. But we're coming to the end of the cycle, right? So we've gone through a lot of conflicts, a lot of challenges, through all of these energies of the swords, and we arrive at the 10, and it is final. This is the finale. This is the burnout, failure, collapse, defeat, painful endings. But this is when it all comes to closure. So while again, all of those things can be very painful, right? Failing, painful, collapsing, defeat, painful, burnout, painful, endings can be painful. The hope is that now there is closure. It's the final. There is no more. And because of that, you can retrospectively look back and see the lessons that you learned through that pain. And there's no more like ambiguity. You see the resilience that you have grown into, and then you can finally move forward. And that's why we're pictured here with this, with this sun that's getting ready to arrive on the horizon. Like you can finally say, that's over, moving on. And so I think about this card, like thinking about like if you've ever been in a relationship that is sort of like that on again, off again, right? Where it's like, oh, we're together. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're together. No, we're not. And just like this rubber band that's like bouncing back and forth, back and forth. The 10 of Swords is the rubber band breaking. It is the final break, and you no longer have to do that bouncing seesaw motion anymore. And while it is very painful at that time, looking back in the future, you're going to realize like that was actually the best thing that could have happened at that time. Bringing it to closure. The 10 of Swords. Okay. Whew. That was a lot. That was a lot. Any questions, reflections? And I'm going to pull a card for us. Daniela, fitting in with the 10 of Swords. Yeah, if that's your birthday card, that probably means there's been quite a lot of endings that you've had to move through, but holding all of that, and how much you have learned and grown because of that. Yeah. It is intense. The swords are very intense. Like I said, it's that love-hate relationship where we don't like the pain, we don't like feeling it, but when we can move through it, we move into greater understandings of love and trust, and trusting ourselves, right? That's like always one of the most important things for me. When I move through painful experiences, I trust my own strength more. I trust my own power. That I made it. Like I made it through that really difficult thing. Like, yeah, I am powerful. I got the strength. I can do this. um, yeah. Feeling stuck in my job of 15 years. Many at my company have retired or quit. The Eight of Swords. Lots of job injuries. Yeah. Yeah. John, what are you going to do about that? Seeing yourself in that mirror, that like being wrapped up, imprisoned. Yeah. Invitations for liberation there. Marriage over 2 continents is breaking apart. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Daniela. And that cannot be easy. Not at all. John, you've got 3 years to retirement. Okay. Hmm. Interesting. I always find that a lot of times when I pull the Eight of Swords, a lot of times it's inviting me into seeing things in a different way. So instead, like, just I hope you're all right, John, using you as an example, but like these last 3 years you have of your retirement, like how could you reframe the perspective of how you see your job, um, to release some of that like feeling of, oh, I'm stuck here. Oh, I'm a victim in this larger, thing that's happening around me. Um, how can you turn it into something that you might even be grateful for, right? And seeing your own strength and power in that position. Just an invitation there. That's how it usually shows up for me. Jitten, I can show my tattoos after I do the reading. Yeah, if you stick around. Susan, born 10/11, and my daughter's gone for 3 months. Heartbreak. I'm sorry to hear that, Susan. Yeah. I don't remember what 10, oh, the Three of Swords. That's my least favorite card. That's the one that reminds me of that, of the conflict I had in my relationship, the one that showed up when I needed to dig underneath and see what was there. Um, yeah. Thank you all for sharing that. Caroline, the Seven of Swords was pretty spot on. Yeah, yeah. I think it's so interesting. Like a lot of the swords has that double-edged energy, right? That we need to be careful how we're balancing that so that we don't fall into ways of being that may be more, manipulative or deceptive, um which becomes natural because so much of our society works that way, right? Even like our the largest powers that be, governments and corporations work that way, and so it's so easy um, for us to fall into that. And so having the cards to remind us, like, ooh, okay, I need to pull myself back up and find that balance again, find that edge of the sword. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pull a collective card, asking the question collectively. So I'm sure all of us here in the session now have some sort of challenge in our life. It's very rare that we are ever free of challenges, right? So I'm going to pull a card with the energy of how can we move through our challenges. So whatever challenge you have, hopefully there will be a message for you in this card that comes through to help us move forward in that challenge. So yeah, I'm shuffling just our 14 cards in the swords, and we will see what card wants to come forward for us. Okay, so how can we move through our challenges? What support do we need to move through our challenges? Hmm. Okay, there we go. We've got the Eight of Swords. I was just talking about it. So, how can we move through our challenges? The first thing would be look in the mirror of your mind, right? So just imagining you had a mirror and it was going to show you really like everything in this mirror is going to show you how your mind is perceiving this challenge. So it's like becoming really honest with how you are viewing this challenge, what lens you are looking through, that is showing up in that story that you're playing in your mind about this challenge. What could be helpful is, especially if this challenge is with another person, if there's a conflict or argument happening between you and somebody else, what would it look like for you to step out of yourself and step into the shoes of the other person, getting that other perspective, right? And seeing it through their eyes. If it's if it's a internal challenge or struggle that's happening for you and you are finding it difficult seeing it in another way, ask a trusted friend or loved one that you trust to be honest with you and say, how do you see this situation? Say like, I'm feeling like a failure. I'm feeling like the world has conspired against me. Asking them like, how do you see me in that situation? And hopefully that will give you like a different perspective to understand, that's getting out of your mind and sorry. Hmm. Hmm. That's getting yourself out of your mind. The other thing that we can do here, because the Eight of Swords is revealing to us that we are having these limiting fears, limiting beliefs, limiting mindsets. We're working off of assumptions. How can we get out of the mind for a bit? Move down into the body. So maybe doing some sort of practices that helps you get in your body. It could be helpful. Some nervous system work, some exercise, some dancing, like whatever it can be to give your mind a rest. Or also like going into a meditation that will provide that space for you. Provide the space that is freeing your mind of that imprisonment that it might be experiencing. So, the beauty of this challenge is that what's actually happening is made worse by what is happening in your head, right? So if you can take the time to work through, get a new perspective, get out of your mind, give your mind a rest for a bit, you will see that the challenge, this conflict, is not as it's not as dire as it seemed before, and that there is a way to find freedom, liberation, and a pathway forward, through cutting off cutting off each of those cords one by one, releasing the blindfold, and you will see the way to move through that challenge. All right. That is our reading for today. Hmm. Hopefully that is helpful. Hopefully that is supportive. If you felt supported in this time together, donations are greatly appreciated as it helps support my time and energy for showing up here and um, giving of this information and energy to you all, and also helps Insight Timer as well keep it free for those that aren't able to donate. And I will share that so like I said, this is a part of our 6-week series for those that came in late in the beginning. This is week 5. So we have already gone through 5 weeks now. Next week is our last week. We'll be talking about Pentacles and the Earth. It's already scheduled, so if you go to my teacher page here on Insight Timer, you can be notified of that when it comes next week. It'll be at the same time on Thursday, or I guess Wednesday for some of you if you're a night owl and you're awake at the moment. And then on the full moon, April 16th, I am hosting a workshop called How to Read Tarot Intuitively. And so this is a 90-minute workshop that you'll be working with your own deck and your own question, your own situation, and I will be guiding you through how to tap into your intuitive powers to have a deeper understanding and meaning to that situation question and how to work with your deck more intuitively. So that will be on the full moon, April 16th. You can sign up at the link on my teacher page here on Insight Timer, or you can go to my website, megannoreen.com, and sign up there. It is free, but also you're able to give a donation if you have the funds you want to donate towards that workshop as well. So that's what's coming up for the end of our tarot series. It's been fun, but still looking forward to next week as well. I love Pentacles and Earth energy. It'll be much more it'll be lighter, it'll be more more grounded, obviously, with the Earth energy. So the swords was the one I was least looking forward to moving through, but I think we moved through with grace, and hopefully you've seen the empowering piece that the swords can be as well. Thank you for those of you that donated. Thank you, John. Thank you, Daniela. No worries. Thank you, Jitin. Yes, I will. Oh, Jen, yeah, definitely come back next week for your Taurian energy. Kieran, oh, hello. I haven't seen you for a while. 3:46 a.m. Yeah, I went to sleep at 4 a.m. last night. Whoop. You woke up with cramps. Oh, and saw, oh, lovely. I'm glad you were here for a moment. Susan, I'm not sure if you are on your computer or your phone. I always use my computer for live sessions, so I don't really know how the phone app looks. But there should be a red little button that says donate. I think it's somewhere on the page, in one of the corners if you're on the app, I believe. And if you click on that, it'll just prompt you to give your details, and then make sure you stay on the page with the card details until it actually goes through, because sometimes it looks like you've donated, but it doesn't actually go through if you don't let it finish processing. And also, after I close the session, there will be a button there. If you stay, there will be a button to donate. Or you can also go to my teacher page here on Insight Timer by clicking on my little picture, wherever my picture is, and there will be a donate button on my page as well. So those are the many different ways that you can donate. Also, I will say that I do personal tarot readings as well. So if you have a situation or a question that you would like to dive deeper, that you would like my intuitive awareness to give you a different perspective on your situation, then you can book in a 15-minute donation-based reading. So that's a pre-recorded video that I will send you, that you will have to watch as many times as you want. You send me your question, I send you the video. Or I do 30-minute or 60-minute one-on-one readings on Zoom that are, I've had some very powerful readings. and breakthroughs with people, and I love holding that space. So all of that information is on my site. You can find the links here on Insight Timer. So Jiten, I will show some of my tattoos. Some of them I will not show because they are under clothing. But I can show my arms. Some of them have interesting stories that I don't really appreciate anymore. But my um my half sleeve, sort of, it's two different, well, three different. So I have my Bengali script that goes down my back. You'll see a little bit there. And then this is my peacock that goes over my shoulder, and it goes mid to my mid back. You can't really see it, but it goes to my mid back. And then this is interesting because this was my divine feminine awakening tattoo that I got. You'll see I got both of these done. Yeah, I got both of these done here in India. And my, mandala here, I got the flowers of life that are around it. And then my divine feminine, and I had it shaped a bit like a vulva, if you can see that as well. For those of you that don't know, I'm a cyclical living guide. So I work with the menstrual cycle, the energy of the menstrual cycle, and the earthly cycle, and that was the beginning of that journey, which is interesting because I don't align to the divine feminine anymore, but that's part of my history. And the quote that it says is from a song. It says, "She was only made of flesh and blood." And so that was my coming back into an embodied understanding, instead of what I had been taught. So that's the story of this one. And I'm fine not aligning to tattoos anymore because I feel like they tell my life story. And I know some people are like afraid to get tattoos because it's like, I'm gonna have them for life. Like, what if I change my mind? What if I don't like believe those things anymore? Like this Bengali script is actually a Bible verse. Like I came to India originally as a missionary, and I'm not a Christian anymore, and I'm a pagan, but I still appreciate this because it tells a story of my journey, and I love that. I love that my tattoos sort of like tell my life's journey, so it doesn't really bother me in that way. But that's just me. My hand, I have, this is Aries, so I'm an Aries sun and moon, and the stars, right, it's coming through, and I have well, it's kind of hard to see, but I have the moon on the other side, and this is I was born right after the new moon, and so I have the moon of when I was born on my wrist with the Aries when I was born. So this is sort of like, and this came from one of my mentors, my past mentors, that wrote a blog, and it came from that the idea of our true self was created whenever we were born, right? Whenever we arrived. And so that's sort of that. And the quote is a Rilke quote around the top that says, "You darkness of who I am born, I believe in the night." And so I got this during my dark night of the soul, when I went through the transition from leaving Christianity to becoming a pagan. And this quote really meant a lot to me then. "You darkness of who I am born, I believe in the night." So that's a Rilke poem. And then my wedding ring, I don't wear a regular ring, so me and my partner got ours tattooed. So we have those permanently. I have one on this arm. It's very hard to see, but it's calla lilies. I got these with my mother and my sister, so they represent the three of us, me and my sister and my mother. the 3 calla lilies. And then I have a quote here. Got lots. I have a quote here. But the beauty that still remains. This is actually an Anne Frank quote, talking about, you know, all the hardships we go, we can still see the beauty through it all. I think that's all for my arms. That's all for my arms. Yeah, I have a really beautiful one on my rib cage as well that is a dancer in front of a tree that goes through all of the seasons. And I got that before I even did cyclical work, before I was even aware of like cyclical awareness. And I think it's really beautiful. It was like foreshadowing like what was going to come in my life. So I have that one on my rib. I have a Celtic cross on my leg that I got after a pilgrimage, a long distance hike that I did in the UK. And I have a star on my foot, which was my very first tattoo, which was representative of my dad. My dad died when I was little, and my mom used to tell me that he was a star in the sky. So I became really fascinated with stars and got a star tattoo to represent him. I think that's all. I think that's all I got so far. I haven't been tattooed in a few years. Oh, thanks for listening. Thanks for asking. Hello, Jackie. Oh, thank you. Nice of you to stop in. Oh, thanks, Jen. Yeah, thanks for asking. I forget I have them because I have them all the time, right? So it's like, it's interesting to remember. I've been trying to, I would like to have my whole arm done on this side, but I gotta fill in this part and my arm. I don't know what it would be. I haven't had any inspiration to get on there yet. So we'll see if something comes up. All right. Wow, that's our time together. Yeah, the healing. I can imagine this. I haven't been trying to think what was the wrist was really painful. Like when the middle of my back, the spine was, oh, my rib cage. My rib cage was quite painful. Yeah. Yeah, my rib cage was quite painful. That was so long ago though, like I can't really remember it. Oh, my finger was really painful too, especially the inside. The inside of my finger was really painful. But it was quick, you know, it was just like one line. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. The bad thing is that now it's hot season. I got this tattoo. I had to do 3 sessions for my peacock because it's the tail goes quite large in the back, and I got it during hot season. And one day, I think it was the next day after it was healing, I had a lunch to go to that I was meeting somebody. And I take public transportation here, like I don't have a car or anything. And so I was taking the bus and rode on the bus for like 40 minutes or something. And I got to the place, had lunch, then like got in the bus, like came back, and it's hot season. So it was like really hot. I was sweating. It was like, you know, really gross and sweaty. And I tried to take my clothes off when I got home, and my shirt had stuck to the tattoo. Because it was like, you know, tattoos ooze when they're healing, and it had oozed and it had like dried, and all of like the sweat and the ooze, and I had to take antibiotics because of that. Yeah, it was just too large to like cover. So if you get a tattoo where it's hot and you get sweaty, and advise you to do it in a colder place or a colder season. Tattooing in the winter is the best way forward. The sacrifice for our symbols, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think one of the sessions, um, I think it was 8 hours. So I said like I had 3 sessions. I think 2 of them were 8 hours and one was a little shorter. The last session was a little shorter. Um, and I got a fever after, just like a low grade fever, because my body was so spent, the adrenaline that it like um took in because of that. I can imagine the stress also that we go through to get tattoos. What does it actually do to our nervous system? Oh, that's interesting to think about. You have a 27-hour back piece. Yeah. Yeah. I think total mine would have been 2 8-hour sessions and then like a 6-hour session. So whatever that is. Yeah, like 22 hours. Yeah. Gosh. But hey, if you're gonna get a tattoo, come to a place like India because they've all been really cheap. I probably paid like 5% of what I would have paid to get these in the States. So I'm trying to think, if you want to help me, think of a tattoo to get before I leave India, because I probably won't be getting one in the States for some time. That I can get one before I leave, hopefully in the next couple months. Hmm. Yeah, Jen. I might do a tattoo thread in our community. Um, I'd love to see other people's as well. Yeah, that would be fun. Um, yeah, for any of you that are here, I have a free community on Mighty Networks called the Cyclical Living Community, that we practice cyclical living, cyclical awareness, bringing awareness to our menstrual cycle energy and the earth energy. If you're interested in that, that link is also in on my teacher page, the link on my teacher page here on Insight Timer. You can find that, the Cyclical Living Community. And I might be posting um, a tattoo show on there so that we can see each other's. All right. Well, it's time for me to get ready for lunch, head into the rest of my day. But it's been really lovely being with you. Yeah, thank you for those of you that stayed up late, 1 a.m. Glad you were here, John. Hopefully you've got some insight, and don't forget to sign up for the workshop on the 16th. Even if you can't come live, you'll get the recording. And when you sign up, you'll also get the recordings of all 6 of these weeks. So you'll get like 7 recordings in total, the 6 live sessions and then the workshop. Yeah, you can sign up for that. Hopefully I'll see you there. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Pentacles and Earth. It'll be a good time together, and sending you off with lots of love and many blessings. Thank you, Jen. Yes, and have a beautiful sleep, those of you that are going to sleep. Bye-bye.